Just a little over 3 years ago, Disney committed yet another act of cinematic terrorism by announcing the production of a live-action Moana remake. A movie, mind you, that was only 6.5 years old at the time. Considering that the last two remakes turned out in 2025 are unanimously perceived as lesser adaptations of their sources, I can't even say that this movie ever stood a real chance. But to my surprise, they didn't butcher the themes of the story, nor did they include some weird side plot that wasn't in the original. They actually made a live-action remake that's a one-to-one adaptation of its story, which is arguably worse. Let me start off by saying I'm not the biggest fan of the original Moana. Don't get me wrong, it's still a pretty good animated movie, it's just not quite my tempo.
When you use a bird to write with, it's called tweeting.
I still saw room for improvement, and remaking the story in a new format could allow for certain aspects to be elevated. However, instead of improving upon or even attempting at differentiating the two, Disney instead just copy and pasted their movie with literally the exact same script, exact same camera shots, exact same jokes, even the exact same Dwayne. You ever watch Moana and think, that's cool and all, but I wish this movie had less vibrant colors, less expressive characters, and more Dwayne Johnson. I cannot fathom a reason anyone would rather watch this over the original. There is nothing it adds to the experience that warrants its existence. I was literally fighting to stay conscious after the first act. The only, and I mean only, change this movie has added is that Maui has more lines. And I can only imagine whose idea that probably was. I have a friend I was talking to about this movie, and they told me that they don't understand discourse surrounding live-action remakes. If a movie strays too far, people don't like it. When it doesn't stray far enough, people also don't like it. But to that I'd say, I don't understand why anyone would want a retelling that's exactly a one-to-one story. There is no point in sharing a story that has been told in the exact same fashion once before. No details that make it unique, no personal vision to make it stand out, no real reason to exist. It doesn't even visually look better in any way. If you're remaking something, I'd rather see an interesting interpretation rather than just regurgitating the same thing to audiences and cashing in. It's an incredibly lazy method of farming money, and from the looks of it, it's not even tracking to be a successful one. See, usually when a studio decides to remake a beloved film for newer audiences, they at least wait until the body is cold. In my opinion, adapting something to more align with modern audiences isn't a bad thing. Societal norms shift, our perception of the world changes, technology and production capabilities improve. Why not remake something after multiple decades of innovation and cultural shifts? Moana doesn't have the luxury of changing its story to fit a modern lens because once Disney decided to greenlight its remake, barely any cultural shift has taken place. There are children currently out there who have probably seen both movies in theaters during the span of their childhood. How fucked up is that? If it's live action, make it a spectacle, tweak some dialogue, improve the cinematography, have some fun with it for Christ's sake. Do you think the Disney adults and their children are going to care that the movie doesn't have the same exact writing and camera shots? No! They care about seeing Moana and Maui come to life. If only the production of this movie had some life in it as well. At the end of the day, what's worse? A remake that tries to improve upon its faults? Or a remake that doesn't even attempt to improve anything at all? If you're just dying to give money to Disney, I'd just catch Toy Story 5 while it's still in theaters. Sure, it's a sequel that many claim to be unnecessary, but at least it's trying something new and meeting audiences with where they're at. I genuinely don't know what more I can even say about Moana. If you've seen the original, there's no real reason to watch the remake. It's quite literally the exact same movie, but worse. A creatively bankrupt decision that might not even pay off for the company. Hell, you know what movie just came out this month that has more effort put into it? The goddamn Minions. Screw it, I'm reviewing the Minions too. Why not? For months, I've been seeing reviewers claim that Minions and Monsters is a love letter to cinema, referencing some of the most historically significant silent films and actors. Hearing that Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin are in the new Goo Goo Gaga Banana movie, I just had to see that for myself. And while I'm not a fan of the Minions as a brand, I was still curious enough to watch it the day before I saw Moana. I mean, one has to wonder, is the audience and critic reception to this entry a sign for better things to come instead of just slapstick and crude humor targeted for toddlers and their parents?
No.
Maybe it was entirely my fault for putting too much faith in the public's opinion about the silly children's movie, but the way some of y'all acted, I thought it was going to be just a little more than 30 minutes of references followed by an hour of obnoxious antics featuring horrors beyond mankind's greatest comprehension and an alien robot who's in love with a suffragette. Okay, now that I'm saying that out loud, I can see why people found it entertaining. Maybe I'm just not enough of a cinephile to embrace the Minions as my lord and savior. Is the movie grating to the ears? Yeah, but at least it's a movie that might inspire a child to take an interest in the world of filmmaking and learn about historical events. I mean, that's still more than I can say about Moana. Call me crazy, but I think children deserve better than uninspired cash grab schemes and movies that's primary appeal is bright colors and loud noises. Anyway, Moana sucks, 1 out of 10, doesn't warrant its existence in the film space. Minions and Monsters is a 4 out of 10. There's a good chunk of elements there, but was not the most pleasant experience to sit through. For the love of God, I hope no child ever gets inspired to make movies from watching Disney live-action remakes. You know, looking at Letterboxd reviews for Minions is how I found Ellis Mark's account. It never occurred to me that he had one. Maybe it's for the best I didn't know. What the fuck do you mean the Backrooms is a 5 out of 10? Call me crazy, but I think children deserve better. Call me crazy, but I think children deserve better than uninspired cash grab schemes and movies that's primary appeal that. Fuck. Call me crazy, but I think children deserve better than uninspired cash grab schemes and movies that's primarily